Hello everyone and welcome to our second Wildmender live stream. We are very excited today to share with you all the things that happened during Alpha. I know it was a great time for both Kwalee and Muse Games. We've got lots to do today. We are talking to the devs. We're joined by 3 devs today. We're very, very honored to have them here. We're also going to play a game called Guess That Plant. And yeah, guess that plant. And if you guys know anything about the plants in game, be sure to check it out and see how many you get right. I'm also going to throw it to the devs too to see if they know all their plants as well. As I said, we are joined by some of the devs for Muse Games. We've got Howard, Jen, and Alex. And I'm going to throw it to each of them. If you could just tell us a little bit about what you do at Muse Games, that would be awesome. Maybe let's go to Alex first.
There, I'm Alex. I'm also known as Watchmaker on the Discord. I'm sort of the lead programmer on Wildmender, plus a bit of game design. And in particular, I've been sort of building up the original prototype of this game, and I'm responsible for a lot of the deeper simulation systems and that sort of thing.
Awesome. And Jen?
Hey, I'm Jennifer. I also known as Inkjet on Discord. I'm the community manager for Muse Games, and I go through feedback, do a little bug testing, recording, a little bit of everything.
Awesome. And then Howard, and I know a few of you will know Howard's voice.
Greetings, everybody. I am the only repeat customer on this stream. I'm the team lead. I am basically a little bit of jack at all trades. I do a little bit of everything, but mostly to keep the team functioning, basically happy and fed, but mostly just making sure that we're aligned to our goal and our vision, that we're doing something that we're passionate about and being fulfilling. I also do a lot of work, just with external parties. Obviously, the point of contact with our great publisher, Kwalee, but I also deal a lot with platforms, with, just different suppliers and things like that. So I'm more external facing, but yeah, I try to do what I can to help the project move forward.
Awesome.
And by the way,
yeah.
This is really Alex. Wildmender is really Alex's baby, and we just help feed it.
Wow. Cool.
It's a very large and terrifying baby at this point. It needs a whole village.
Yeah, which is one reason why we do these live streams, because we want to really dive into everything about Wildmender. Now, as you can see to my right-hand side, we've got some incredible photos from our gardens that people have made during Alpha. So do check those out as we're going through the stream. Also below me, we have a QR code, and that is so you can wishlist the game if you're interested and you're new. I see we've got a couple of new people in chat. Welcome. If you want to wishlist the game, join our socials. That's all across the bottom as well. And we're so excited for you to be here. Now, before we dive into Alpha and finding out all the incredible things that have happened, we are very excited about it, as you can tell. We're going to show you the trailer really quick. It's beautiful, so enjoy.
Product not yet rated.
Awesome. Oh, I love that trailer every time we play it. Now, we are going to head on into alpha details here. Let me get that up and running here. So we have some information from alpha, and I'm going to ask the devs a couple questions here about it. So we're going to start right up here. We're going to talk about feedback. Now, I want to know from you guys, how important is it to have feedback from events like alpha, and how do you implement what you find out into the game?
I would say that feedback is extremely important. So I think our development is basically bimodal. We obviously have core content that we planned that we're continuing to execute to. So with the alpha, people who have been in it, they will know that we have added more zones, or just more areas for people to explore, more narrative quest lines, and just a lot more plant varieties, or just a lot more varieties in general for people to craft and cultivate. So we'll continue to do that until we reach our end goal as far as like core content before release. But that's really only half of it. The other half is just continuing to get feedback from players who are in the community, who have played, who have helped us test in alpha, and also during the demo, for example, to continue to get their feedback, and also to look at data, to analyze the data, and to see where the gaps are, where people are struggling, what we're missing, what is not easy to use, and so on. And like basically, it's like what in our progression is successful, what in our combat is successful and not. It's just really all aspects of the game.
Okay.
And I think a lot of players give us really cool ideas, just in general. So there's we have like some ideas that are just like, whoa, that is absolutely amazing, and we have a pile of those. So I would say feedback is really critical and paramount to our development. It's something that we wanted to get to this point so we can have feedback, and that certainly influenced our development quite a bit.
Okay.
It's really important to get kind of fresh eyes on a game. We've been staring at this project one way or another for several years now. For me in particular, like, I am not a trustworthy opinion on how learnable or clear anything in game is, because I know too much. And so it's really important to get new players playing it and get their take on what the experience is like.
Yeah. And so for example, with Tinkerhell, like in chat saying that, oh, okay, wish he play a little bit more, and he's struggling a little bit in the beginning. So it's for us to be like, okay, actually that's super interesting, right? What we want to know then is either qualitatively, in talking with the players to figure out just exactly how they're struggling, or what causes them to not understand or be stuck, or we look at the data and we would know it's like, okay, fine, this particular tutorial prompt, people are not able to complete it at as high of a rate that we would expect, and then we try to figure out why. So we try to do a lot of that stuff, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Yeah.
And Jen, I wanted to ask you about this one. So at the moment, I've got causes of death on the screen. I am part of the 2%. I want to let you guys know. I am embarrassed to say it. But Jen, how have you died in game? What was your biggest, fall in game?
I think I would probably fall under Wraith combat.
Okay.
I've died to poison a couple of times. Sometimes fall damage. I tend to take drops that I probably shouldn't. Think that I'll survive. I think the biggest one for me is being a little too risky in the temple fights.
Right. Okay. And from this information that we sort of found from Alpha, do you adjust the game accordingly, or are things working as intended or as you wanted to?
I think just in terms of cause of death, it's actually super interesting to us overall as well. just because fall damage is certainly a little bit higher than we expected. So we looked at data. We're like, oh wait, fall is at a higher percentage than wraith and wraith death, and that was like wasn't exactly what we expect. But then I think part of what we realized is that really with cause of death, it's kind of like, I don't know, death by a few different cuts.
Right.
It's like like so especially later on in the game, when combat, for example, have wraith that drains water or does different types of damage, really I think a different combination of factor. So dehydration will come factor in. So a lot of times actually you could be for example like hit by a wraith and your health is low, and then you might die of dehydration at the end. So I think a lot of times like there is a combination of factors that will lead to actually eventual death, which actually makes it pretty interesting to see.
So looking at chat quickly here, we've got dehydration, falling, we've got here wanted to explore, so cause of death, curiosity, when wanting to explore the map but running out of resources, and Tinker agrees. I think that's such a great thing though, that people want to explore so much that resources, you completely forget about them.
Yeah, and I think it's also time of day matters a lot, right? And with different zones, the new zones have different environmental hazards and factors that will lead to, for example, an acceleration of dehydration later on. I don't want to give spoilers, but it leads to poison, obviously damage health directly. Yeah. But there are in different zones, there are different environmental factors or hazards that will, basically cause different type of impediment to players. So yeah, I mean, if people, so then people have to be able to balance exploration, with survival like more. In the time of day becomes more a factor. People venture out too far.
Yeah. And then we've got Inkjet here. I always try to pull out the umbrella mushroom just before hitting the ground, and landing on an unseen tree has killed me so many times. Brilliant. So I'm going to go through these now with it's resource collected. Are there any findings that you guys have seen from this data that surprised you potentially, or maybe things you thought people wouldn't get to that did?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally it's just the distribution isn't very surprising. Obviously, the earlier game and the more common resources are used and collected more often, and so that in itself is surprising. But the numbers here are less than people seen and compare the alpha versus the demo report. The total quantity here are less than the demo, right?
Yeah.
But if you factor in that only a 10th of the people played the alpha versus the demo, just because alpha is more key invite only type of more closed of a session. We only had, say, actually less than a 10th of the people in alpha that we had in the demo, but there are only maybe 3x fewer of any of the resources that are actually collected, which means that on a per capita basis people are collecting way more. But that's reflected also in the length of session time. I think what's really cool is that generally on average, and also just in terms of if you look at median and mean play times, people are spending way more time in the game. I think in part just because there's a lot more content. And when people are spending more time in the game, they're obviously collecting and crafting more stuff, and just expanding their oasis out a lot more. So I think that's really cool to see, that on a per capita basis, people are actually collecting way more stuff, crafting way more stuff. And I think it's also cool to see some of the later zone materials being collected, more as well. I think it's just that, we have more crafting options that require those materials now, and so they're being put in use, so which is great.
Awesome. So I want to move forward a little bit here into some of the graphs and pie charts you've put together.
Yeah.
So we've got an overwhelmingly positive experience for alpha, which is awesome to see. How happy were you guys when you sort of saw this data?
I think on the one hand, it's obviously positive reinforcement, and it's awesome that players respond, and it's always like humbling to see players actually responding positively to the game. But honestly, like, I am looking at that one person or like two people like who didn't enjoy the experience and trying to figure out like why that is, and try to do better. So it's not like, I'm personally like focusing more on the negatives, but I just I think to me positives like great, okay, but then it's like, what else do we need to do, right? So like, I'm actually also focused on the people, the feedback that are more critical and maybe less than positive, and try to figure out, okay, why are people having like issues with the game, and how can we do better? So
awesome.
That's cool. And just in terms of like playtime, I think playtime to us is like should almost like surreal, like how long some players spend in the game. I think also just that overall a lot of the playtime data are significantly better than the demo, which is also encouraging to see.
Okay. And then to Jen or Alex here, talking about how long people are spending in the alpha. I know Howard said people are spending way more time than previously. Are you seeing more people spending, sort of completing the tutorial and then going to explore? It's sort of, that's the 1 to 2 hour mark, I suppose.
Yeah, it's actually it's even earlier than that.
Okay.
Tutorial completion rates are pretty close to what they were in the demo. A lot of the increased playtime is just there's more to do. There's new zones to explore. There's a lot more gardening stuff.
Yeah.
I have to give a shout out to the really tiny core of extremely dedicated players, the 50+ hour club, who aren't shown on this graph, but there's a surprise. There's not a large number of them, but there's a good number of them. And warms the cockles of my heart to see those people enjoying the game so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's to see that close to 40% of the players in alpha played a minimum of 5 hours. That's pretty amazing. And just throughout just actual percentage, about like 5% of the players who played over 50 hours, which is kind of humbling.
And especially looking in chat here, 40+ hours in alpha, 30+ hours in beta. Had to stop myself to risk burnout. The fact that people are putting so much time into it, but they're so excited for the game to come out that they are playing a lot, but just want to hold back just a little so they can put all their time in when the game comes out. I'm sure that's good to see as well.
Yeah, we definitely don't want people to burn out, especially given that alpha has a definite end, right? So we definitely don't want people to burn out. But at the same time, the people who actually spend that much time in the game, what they tell us is invaluable, just because long form progression is very hard to test just for us and for QA. So having players actually able to play that long, and just seeing what they do, what they have feedback for like later on in the game is actually tremendously valuable.
Yeah.
The alpha and demo both have taught us a lot more about sort of how really big gardens behave over really long periods of time than we could easily find through our own testing. So that's been extremely valuable.
Yeah. And I want to throw this one to Jen. It's off the back of a comment in chat here. Tinker said, I need to team up with those 40+ hours people so they can teach me. and people are talking about sort of teaming up. So we've got here the multiplayer stats. So Jen, what did you observe from multiplayer, and how important was it for you guys to have multiplayer in this game so people can experience this together?
So I've only played multiplayer in a few tests that we've done.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I think this is a game that's best experienced with friends.
Yeah.
The survival aspect, the building up the garden, splitting up the work, like one person going out and exploring while another person tends the gardens.
Yeah.
I think it's a great match. I've had fun in the few tests that I've been able to do in multiplayer.
I think you're right, especially as we're moving into a place now where games almost have to come with multiplayer. But you're right, this game in particular works so well with multiplayer. The fact that you can, as you say, divvy up jobs to different people to do different things that they enjoy. And I think that's really great to have that choice with your friends as to what you want to do in the game that you really like.
I think it kind of happens naturally, at least when I've played games like this with my friends in the past. I think some people just gravitate to different things.
Yeah.
And all gets covered.
Now, we have a lot of data here, but I want to finish up here on the tutorial before we move on to the next segment. If you guys want to just talk about the tutorial and how things have changed over time and what you've observed that you've been able to change to help people better understand the game through the tutorial.
I think tutorial is one of the areas where player feedback is most helpful. I think just because it is obviously early on in the game and it's also directly relating to how people learn the game. So I think we pay attention to the tutorial data probably most closely, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the demo, between the demo and alpha, we certainly worked on a few things based on player feedback, mostly relating to ease of use or places where people are getting confused and not knowing what to do. And I think having data, so what we can do is like actually look at completion rate for each step, like each tutorial prompt. And so we can see like, where people, for example, if there's a gap in completion that is lower than we expected, we will be able to know. And that coupled with player feedback, is basically incredibly powerful for us to know where the gaps are in tutorial. And I think in alpha, we did identify a couple of places where people are still, maybe more confused than we either realized or were expected. And so it's actually super helpful. So I think we can basically pinpoint, almost exactly where people were having maybe some point of confusion in the tutorial. And, obviously after alpha, we'll target those areas and address them and improve upon them.
Okay, awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much for that. And again, alpha was such a great thing that to happen to Wildmender. As they said, they've got so much feedback, and it's just to make the game better and better, and to iron out things that they need to. So make sure that you guys are part of the Discord. You've wishlisted the game and you're connected with us, because when something else like this happens, we want you to be the first to know so you guys can get in there. You can just scan the QR code below me, and then we've got all the socials along the bottom. Now, we are moving into the next segment called Guess That Plant. Now, we're going to test the chat here, and also you guys, the devs. We have got a selection of plants, and you have to guess the name of it. And we've got a very talkative chat today. So, guys, if you know the plant, type it out. Right, first one up. We have this plant here. Now, what is this plant, guys? Say it in chat. Come on, write it down. See if you know what it is. Now, guys, do you know what it is? Do you know what this plant is? Have any plants, because you've got so many, have any of them sort of fallen out of your mind? Or do you know the names of everything? What do you guys think?
think I know
I
the
know
names
it.
of everything.
You know
this one in particular is very important. So
Oh, this one's easy.
Okay,
yeah, this is
right.
an easy one.
So we'll go to Jen then. I can see it in chat, but Jen, which plant is this?
Amaranth.
It is indeed amaranth. Wonderful. Good job, chat. Give yourselves a clap. Okay, next one. This plant here. I'll give you a couple of seconds to type it in. Hello to the first-time chatter as well, who is very quick. Novo. We see it in chat. All right, Howard, what plant's this?
I mean, this is the most commonly collected plants in the entire game by far.
Okay.
It's a dungrass.
Awesome.
Dungrass.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, good job. Another clap in chat. Wow, people are getting this right. Next one. This one here, what could it be? Right, I'll give chat a couple seconds. Ooh. Let's see. Chat's doing
This was
so
new to the
well.
alpha, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So Alex, what plant's this?
This is glow stick, or glow stick plant. I think is the proper
Yeah.
name of the plant.
Glow
Glow
stick
is
plant.
the seed item.
Wonderful. So at this point, I do want to ask the inspiration for these plants. I know we don't have Ava here, but what do you guys pull it from real life plants and sort of adapt them in a way? How does that process work?
So we made a conscious decision to try to pull away from identifiable real plants where we could, to make them be sort of their own little alien things that don't exactly correspond to anything in real world.
Yeah.
But most of them have some kind of original real world inspiration.
Right. Okay.
Like the glow stick, for example, I think comes from something called a pencil cactus.
Okay. Wow.
And there are also a few counterexamples, like amaranth is a very identifiable real plant, but the real world plant fit too many of the right niches, so we've just kind of run with it.
Okay.
It's staple cereal grain, so it's a good food source in a game like this.
Yeah.
It's something that does well in hot climates, so again, it's a good early plant in a game like this. It has a very distinctive and colorful flower, which we wanted to make sure we had some of those available relatively early in the game.
Okay. Awesome.
And my weird factoid, in some traditions, it is used for traditional offerings to the dead.
Okay.
Which, again, relevant to the way it's used in game.
Wonderful. And maybe that's a sneak to the story too, but we won't talk about that too much right now, just in case we get some spoilers out. So we have more plants. Now, chat are doing really well. Let's see if you know this one. What is the name of this plant? Come on, chat. What have we got here? And we're going to go to Jen for this one. I think it's your turn.
Oh.
What's this plant?
This.
Or tree, sorry, yeah.
I think it's a tree.
This is a tricky one.
It is. We've got very big tree in chat. Good try.
I will take a stab. If,
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I need to step in.
Yeah.
So this,
Yeah,
I believe,
I'm gonna-
is the actually the least harvested or least collected, seed in the game is the lantern tree.
Yes. Oh my goodness, it is.
Oh,
Nice. Good job. Lantern tree.
I guess I don't know
Is
what
it-
those look like.
They have very random shapes. That's why this was so tricky.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, next one. What is this? Plant or tree? This one is a bit tricky. So no one in chat got the last one. Can you guys get this one?
Oh, this is an important one.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
I'm right.
All right, Jen, go for it.
Is this mistberry? Mistberry bush?
It is indeed the mistberry bush.
Okay.
Nice, good job. Claps in chat as well. Lots of people got that one too. Wonderful.
Yeah. In terms of data, this is actually the one sulflat, like later zone plants that is more harvested or collected than some of the zone 1 or Dune zone plants.
Okay, awesome.
So I think it's just
Yeah,
it just goes to show how much people value the mystery.
yeah. And Paul, it's not Bob from accounting, but good try. Okay, next one. What is this plant? Anyone in chat? Do we know? I think Eleanor again. Oh my goodness. Good job. Okay, we'll throw this to Alex. What plant is this?
That's the ancestral lily.
That's right, the lily. Awesome, awesome. I love that chat is so quick as well. You guys have put lots of hours in for sure. Okay, next one. I think someone mentioned this earlier in the stream, potentially. What is this plant? And we'll go to Howard for this one.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most distinctive plants in the entire game. It is a monument shelf.
Yeah.
Highly distinctive in shape. Cannot miss it.
No.
No other plant has a silhouette like this.
No. So, Tinker, not a cactus. I guess... No, I can't give you that one. Eleanor's close. It is... Monument Mushroom. Oddish. No, it's not a Pokemon. Right, next. Okay, this might be a bit tricky, potentially. It's a tree. It could be quite simple, actually. But what tree is it? Chat, I'll give you... Oh! Yep, here we come through the answers. Okay. I'll leave this for you guys. What tree is this?
Pretty sure that's an oak tree.
Yeah.
It is. It is indeed an oak tree. Okay, I think we've got one more. And we're going to throw this up here. Here we are. So, last one here. What plant is this? What plant is this? Oh, Eleanor. We've got some hardcores in the chat. Ninja Star from Music. I'm not sure that's correct. Okay. Right. Last one I'll throw to you guys. What plant is this?
That's the rootbeard fungus.
The chat got it right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Right.
Is it root? Yeah. Root
Yeah, it's
beard, rot beard.
Root beard.
Root.
Root
It's a
beard.
beard that grows on roots.
Awesome. Great. I'm very, very impressed with chat. You guys did a great job with all of these. And hey, guess that plant might come back again, or maybe guess that animal next time. But thank you guys for yeah. Thank you guys for joining in. That was awesome. As well, you might notice that I am surrounded by lots of plants. Last time, I thought we were a bit lacking on the foliage, so we've got a bit more this time. Maybe next time we'll have even more on stream. Okay, cool. So as we can see, everyone's gardens are cycling through. It's really cool. If you do see your garden, do say something in chat. I know Novo just said that was my picture. That is really awesome. Really quickly again, we've got the QR code below. Do scan that. Do be a part of the community. As you can see, you know, people send in pictures, videos. We've got so much discussion over Discord, and we want to include you as well. So do join in with all of that. All right, next, we have a bit of a QA. We've got the devs here, and I do want to ask them a few questions. We've got a couple questions here for them. They are taken from the Discord, and they could potentially be your question if you've asked it before. So, any of you guys can answer these, and I will throw them out. So, firstly, will there be any cooking mechanics in Wildmender?
So this is something we've talked about, but is most likely not going to happen for release. Not impossible that it comes back later for some, post-release update, but doing it justice would be a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, so, cooking is kind of near and dear to my heart. It's something that I think is super cool. But yeah, I mean, I think we obviously had our hands full with all the features before release, so it's essentially something that is an idea that we have logged and it's on our minds.
Okay.
But probably not immediately. Something more for the future.
For sure. And I see Novo in chat. Technically, we are all cooking in the sun. Okay. Right, we'll move on from that. In alpha, the frog turns into a plant when you try to put him on your back. Will you be able to carry him for real in the final game?
Absolutely. I have seen the untextured version of that. It's the plant was just a placeholder.
Okay, wonderful.
For everything on your back.
And I will take this question from chat by music. Will you be able to fish? I assume that potentially might be something after launch.
Yeah. That gets into tricky territory actually, because we have tried to avoid doing anything like sort of hunting or be very light on directly extracting resources from the environment for thematic reasons.
Okay. So it's sort of...
we have talked about having like fish come back to your garden, and maybe that could do something, but
okay.
It's in a surprisingly fiddly territory.
Okay, so something potentially could be spoken about in the future, but for now, not exactly fishing, but potentially bringing fish back and things like this.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a question here of how is wind protection calculated?
Okay, trying to think how to explain this clearly. It's really just a straight line drawn from your character in the direction the wind is going, and if that hits anything.
Okay.
The line is like angled up a little bit, so that if you are far from shelter, you will tend to get less of it.
Right.
This is also something that one of those things where we probably need to tune it a bit based on feedback from the alpha, because there were definitely some reports of sort of people expecting they would be sheltered at times when they wouldn't be, particularly in the canyons.
Okay, awesome. It's really cool to hear technical answers. I think for the nerds like myself, it's really fun to hear about how you guys work things out. Okay, next question. Is there any reason why you would want to plant tainted seeds?
Yes, there are a couple. They're a little bit obscure, and that's kind of deliberate. But they count as unique cultivars for certain things that require you to find a number of unique cultivars. Mm-hmm. There are also, I think, one or two color-based recipes where the tainted seed gives a unique color.
Okay, and we just had that from chat. They are pretty. There you go. Awesome. So, next question. Do wraiths have a language of their own? Or are they actually saying something in English? Sometimes it sounds like they're saying, "See me."
They're not supposed to be saying anything in particularly. It's just the sound loop when they're stalking you is just some sort of generic creepy muttering.
Okay.
Presumably they do have a language of their own, but it's also probably the language your character would speak, so neither here nor there.
Okay. Now, potentially a bit more of a technical question here. How does humidity work?
Yeah, so this is something that is definitely not displayed well enough in-game right now, and it's something we want to make some adjustments about. But humidity is what we call a mechanic where the improved biomes provide a certain small amount of water to plants in them, basically just enough to keep the plants from dying outright if you're not watering them.
Okay.
So if you get a big area of arable land, you should notice that your trees and such in that zone will hover around like 25% water, even if they're not near an open spring or you're not actively watering them.
Okay, thank you. And last question here. Why is the goddess of water a tiger?
So this is another would be easier for Ava to answer, but I'll do my best to repeat her answer from earlier.
Thank you.
So the art team tried a couple of sort of more traditional water animals, and basically everything that they tried, they decided was a little too predictable and boring. So they went for a land animal that actually loves swimming.
Right. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for answering those questions. Guys, if you want to find out more answers to maybe questions you've got, or if you have questions, do go to the Discord. Now, we have a wonderful community that send in pictures and videos constantly, and we've got 2 videos to show you today. I'd love the devs to comment on sort of these gardens as we see them. Let me start this one here. Okay, this one is from YumYum30. So let's get into it. Let me turn this down a bit. Okay, so when you watch sort of gardens like this, I know Jen and Alex went on the last garden, sort of looking at gardens. How do you find seeing the community making these things, and do they ever exceed expectations, or do they ever do things that you're like, oh wow, maybe we didn't think of that, or we didn't know that they would do this?
Yeah, I've always been really impressed by the amount of attention to detail that people have put into arranging some of these, in terms of getting layouts or themed areas within their gardens. And it's certainly something I hoped players would do, but to see them actually do it is always incredible.
Yeah. And what about you, Jen? How do you, when you see these, what things come to mind?
Well, I like seeing the layouts, especially seeing plants like food crops arranged in one place, arranged in rows.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do that myself, and there's something satisfying about that for me.
Yeah, I have
see that other people are doing it.
Yeah, and I have heard that you have quite a cool garden yourself from Maddie. So I'd hope we get to see that at some point. That would be cool. Right, let me get up.
At this point, I probably have to do it again.
Yeah, true.
Every build.
I'm just going to pop up the next video here so we can see Nyla's video. Let me pop this over. Okay. So here we are.
Yeah, the big cliff gardens.
Yeah.
Was this some waterfall shenanigans? Is that where we're going?
Potentially.
That's
yeah.
something that is something I've yet to do is
Oh
like a
my.
big
Wow.
satellite garden.
Oh, that's very clever.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
A ramp with fences?
Yeah, they've made a whole
I love that.
Oh my goodness.
switchbacking path with the walls.
That's really
That's very
cool.
clever.
We've got another 20 seconds of this, but this is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sheer scale of this is great.
Oh my god.
Wall ramp. Yeah, Martu. Yes.
That
That's it.
is absolutely stunning, actually.
Yeah. I didn't think you could get that much water out of
Yeah.
one.
Awesome. So, guys, this
Wow.
is just alpha, and we're seeing incredible things. We're impressing the devs. I'm really proud of you guys, the community, for impressing the devs. That's what we want. We want to see that. Cool. So, today, I'm really happy that we got to meet again, and we're going to do, obviously, more live streams going forward, and hopefully meet some more of the team. But I want to thank Jen, Alex, and of course Howard for being here. You guys are really generous with your time, and also with sort of giving all this information to us. So thank you for joining me.